Hey there, folks. Hope everybody's having a great day. This is JuggerNOT, Master of Mediocrity, Icon of Inconsistency, coming at you with another episode today. Today we're going to talk about the Tier 2 German fighter, the AR68. Now, I was introduced to this plane, how shall I say this delicately, while being served on the battlefield. I was the victim of a serious onslaught from this plane, from a really good pilot from the enemy team. And this guy was really racking up the points every time I looked at the stats. And I thought, wow, I've got to check this plane out. I'm really glad I did, and I'm going to tell you all about it. What we'll do today is we'll have a brief history on the plane. Then we'll compare the stats with a couple of other Tier 2 fighters that I fly. We'll talk about the summary of key strengths and areas of improvement that we need for the plane, or I guess areas of liability. And we can take a look at the loadout that I have for the plane, what the crew looks like, and then most importantly, let's go to battle and see this thing in action. And I'll show you some of the successes on the battlefield as well as the mistakes that I made. So with that, let's kick it off. So the AR68 was developed in 1934 and it entered service for the German Luftwaffe in 1936. It entered its first combat service in the Spanish Civil War, and it became the Luftwaffe's most used plane. So it did have a moment of major acknowledgement for what it could do. It basically ended up into a night fighting plane, and it was replaced by the Messerschmitt ultimately, the Bf 109. So with that, let's take a look at a quick comparo of numbers. And the reason that I picked the Bulldog and the Japanese A4N is because both of these vehicles I'm very familiar with. These planes are all similar, yet they have nuances about them. But let's take a quick rundown. Look at the gun armament. The AR-68 has 4 7.92 millimeter machine guns. 2 are mounted on the wings, and 2 are mounted near the engine and are synchronized. That's a lot of firepower if you look by comparison. Survivability is equal across the tier, 2 for all the planes. Take a look at this number though, the airspeed of 18. It's a pretty fast plane. It can really get up and go, especially when you hit the boost on it. And it can cover the field, the map, more quickly than the other 2. Maneuverability is not too bad, but it does give up a little bit of maneuverability to the British Bulldog, the Bristol, and also most certainly to the Japanese A4N, which is a highly maneuverable fighter. But take a look at the altitude performance. Very impressive. 87 there, against a pretty decent 75 for the Bulldog and a 51 for the A4N. A4N definitely stalls out when going vertical pretty quickly. So that being said, in summary, how can I summarize this plane? I could summarize the AR-68 as saying fantastic firepower. It's got great airspeed for its tier. On the flip side, it's not quite as maneuverable as some of the other Tier 2 planes, and you have to really keep your eyes open while you're in battle and look at the mini-map, because if someone gets behind you, and if they can stay behind you, they are definitely going to kill you. So that being said, why don't we take a quick look at consumables, equipment, and crew. My consumables are mostly standard: manual fire extinguisher, the first aid dressing package, and then I threw in the reinforced control surfaces. This gives me a little bit of spontaneous maneuverability in the event that I'm in a dogfight with a highly maneuverable plane and I need that little extra. And in terms of equipment loadout, I'm really trying to optimize the firepower and bring up the accuracy of it. The more accurate I can get this thing firing, the more quickly I can dispatch my enemies. And then secondly, I've got the improved covering, which decreases my chance of critical damage, boosts my horsepower by 5%. And then lastly, I've got lightweight airframe. Again, trying to optimize my maneuverability in this plane. In terms of a crew, I've got a relatively new pilot in this guy. And all I've earned so far, skill-wise, he's 100%. I'm working with fire resistance at the moment, and I'm just going to keep grinding this guy. So that's kind of what everything looks like. Why don't we just get down to brass tacks and see what this thing can do in a dogfight? Okay, here we go. Let's go jump into battle.
Pilot,
Let's take a look at the battlefield and figure out where we want to be. In this case, I'm going to head over to the Southern Air Base. Got a couple of friends on the team headed there as well. Where this guy really pours on the velocity. That was fun to watch. He just ripped through that AI plane. This AI is hanging on for dear life. I must say, he's doing a good job of staying clear of me for the moment. Okay, great. So now I've got to figure out where to next. I start heading over to the garrison in the west, which is a mistake on my part. You definitely don't want to head over to a section alone. So I decide, yeah, I'm confused, right? I go back to the garrison. I think not. I really feel strongly about not going back to the other airbase, or the other garrison, I mean, because there's plenty of teammates over there. Now this is my first mistake, really. Looking at the mini-map, I should know better. Look how many enemies are in front of me. And the one friend that I have is going to be dead in about a second. And here's my other mistake. I'm getting pinged from behind. I'm getting hit. And what do? I try to get greedy and take out that plane in front of me. Big mistake. And the P-23 handily rips me a new one. Great graphics. I love that look. So let's give this another shot, shall we? Now we've got a good response from our team. We've got lots of allies in the area. I feel a little bit more comfortable now coming in to take these guys out. You're going to get to know this guy in the game, the P-23. Keep that plane in the back of your head. Lots of half-dead targets in the area. Just take a look at that firepower. I mean, it's just unstoppable. Well, this guy made a mistake by not chasing me down, and that's going to lead to his demise.
Receiving reports about rapidly deteriorating weather conditions. Support will be unable to reach you. Do you read me? Over.
Look at this. How often you see two enemies just right in front of you in parallel. Good targets of opportunity.
There's a heavy storm here. Unable to proceed. Returning to base. Do you copy?
Now I'm trying to outmaneuver this, I believe it's the P-23, my good friend. And that's not happening, so I'm changing position altogether. Now I get my friend on my tail again. And what am I doing?
Keep it up.
Getting greedy. And look what that resulted in. I've got engine damage. And now my good friend, Mr. P-23, is definitely having an advantage in maneuvering. I'm just trying to stay alive at this point, but to no avail. And I get waxed. And that wraps it up after a pretty good round. Game from here on out is pretty uneventful, so I'm going to skip forward to the credits. And we end up with a great result here. 16,440. A few awards here too. I'm just super thrilled with that win. And it's okay for me. I don't mind dying near the end of the game as long as I've contributed to the extent that we're ahead. Let's see what we're doing for credits. 48,000, 2907 points. Yeah, I'm very proud of that. And so today we've reviewed the AR68. Hands of the right pilot, it is a devastating weapon. Has to play. There's no better feeling than just filling enemies full of holes and watching them go down in flames. It's just a lot of fun to play. Very fast, high firepower, good times. With that, my friends, I'm going to leave you for today, and I'm wishing you clear skies and happy hunting.